IIT Madras, for the last 4 years, we've been spending significant amount of time on research. And most of you will immediately think it's research on engineering, but it's actually, we've been doing research on the e-mobility ecosystem, how it is evolving and what is likely to happen, etc. as well. So the first part, I think, is the time for transition. So when does the combustion engine die? Right. So everybody keeps saying this is the future, there is no future for diesel, etc. or petrol. Let's be clear, at least another 2 decades. So we start the journey, we have to continue the journey. We might have rethinks in our priorities. In certain segments, it might make sense to bring in hybrids, even though today we believe it is not, doesn't make sense. The idea is to stay smart. So the essential part is that the diesel combustion engine is not going to go away. It's going to be there for a period of time. So we need to evolve new efficiency standards for these, and we need to start putting pressure on ourselves, and that's the first part of the policy. So in case somebody is an entrepreneur and he's making fuel injection system parts, don't worry, you'll have business at least for another 20 years. So the time for transition in quite a few cases, especially in the context of India, it appears to be close to about 2050, right? And this is I think the government might have ambitious targets. They might bring in more incentives or more enabling policies or mandates. But the point is, if you leave it to the ecosystem, it looks like it's going to take us that long. And we need to understand that what we are doing here is the indefinite start of a journey. The tech is going to be different as we go. So we call it the frustration of evolving technology. Whether you invest in a project or whether you have invested in a technology to make the product, what happens is, in this segment, 5 years down the line, you'll be kicking yourself saying you made the wrong investment. This is likely to happen on and off. So this is where the startups come. The startups have the ability to take this risk, be dexterous, keep adapting, and keep moving forward. Large organizations have the thought process and processes for scale. It's very difficult for them to respond dexterously and quickly. So the entire transition is going to be not such a pleasant journey, even though we keep talking about nice air to breathe, blah, blah, but essentially it's going to be a lot of fuss and a lot of frustration. But we have to do this. There's no option, because over a period of time, the bottom line, this will make money sense. And as long as things make money sense, if you're a smart economy, you have to go along those lines. So this is not a path which you can come back on. You have to keep finding your path generally in the forward direction. So electrification is here to stay. But how you go about it, probably the context keeps changing every 2 to 3 years as new policy and technology options evolve. So what are the segments we are talking about? We heard about energy storage. This is a flanking thing, not exactly zero emission transportation, so to say, but energy storage is a flanking technology and fairly close. And slowly, at least we people in mobility, we are seeing that the line between energy, mobility, data, communication, this is all converging. We are not able to show where mobility stops anymore. So this is something which we need to keep track of. IIT Madras is in the process of setting up a national center for mobility solutions in the new upcoming campus. And the idea is to address this convergence head on, instead of leaving it into silos. So this is something where we have, if you look at transportation, you've got two-wheelers and you've got cars. Now these are predominantly, when you talk market share, it's personal transport. Now, personal transport decisions are not based on just money, even though it's an important factor. There is an element of emotion, there is an element of aesthetic sense, etc. So personal transportation, two-wheelers, cars, they're going to take more time unless they start making immense money sense. But if you look at commercial transportation, right? Transporting people in their buses for a fee, trucks transporting goods, three-wheelers transporting goods. I'm not sure if you all realize, but there are only two loyalties in commercial vehicle business, and I come from that segment, so trust me when I tell you. The first loyalty is to making money. It's a business. That truck or three-wheeler is an investment for running a business. So it's about making money. This is the first loyalty. The second loyalty is I have to continue making money. Now, these two are important for him. If you don't address this, however fancy your marketing or your styling is, it will not sell. So commercial vehicles, whether it's buses, trucks, etc., the first thing you go after is solve the money problem for the guy who's investing in the truck or the bus. If he doesn't make money, there's no reason for him to go out and buy an electric truck or an electric bus. It's because it's business. There's no ambition here, etc. Well, if you look at shippers, people like, let's say, Hindustan Lever, etc., they have an environmental sustainability goal. So they might push electrification of their trucks, but mind you, the guy who's buying the truck is not going to buy it unless he knows he's going to make money. So Hindustan Lever might have their ambitions, but they need to make sure that the trucker makes his money. So this is an important part of commercial vehicle business. So you've got these segments: two-wheeler, three-wheeler passenger, three-wheeler cargo. Today, if you are not buying an electric three-wheeler cargo, you're doing it for some other reason other than money, because it no longer makes sense to buy a combustion engine three-wheeler. Everybody is very clear about the money equation there. So why are you still buying combustion engine cargoes? Because probably you don't have charging infrastructure. Maybe your duty cycle, the range is so high, nobody's offering it, etc. But it will not be a money reason. It will be a operational reason or some other reason. So you've got three-wheelers, two segments. You've got cars. Of course, we talk about taxis. So taxis are a little bit better. And then you come to your small trucks, and then the big trucks and buses. As of today, with current battery prices for commercial applications, you can expect it to be about 180, Sundu, about $180 per kilowatt hour. If your truck or bus is burning 30 lakh of rupees of diesel per year per truck, he doesn't need any policy or subsidy. All he needs is charging infrastructure. He's got product, he's got the money equation because he's burning so much of diesel. All he needs is, can I get the truck charged or the bus charged? That's all he needs, right? So for these, we need to take, NHEV is a corridor-based approach where you're trying to encourage. This is an awareness building kind of activity. But for trucks and buses, you should start a project-based approach where you have a smaller hub, and in those hubs, you encourage, and then slowly these hubs will grow. So when I keep hearing very ambitious statement about I'll electrify Delhi-Bombay highway for trucks, I'm scared because we might just make people run away after the first few investments. Everyone is there to make money. So you need to start with projects which are sustainable by themselves, financially, not just environmentally. And we need to grow the hubs into corridors. So the hubs start growing towards each other along a corridor. That's how it evolves. So these are the segments, and of course storage, as we saw in the morning. So for this, what all do we have to do? We have to do a lot of work. So the government has to do work in a policy. So all of you heard about the policy advisory for zero emission trucking. I think this is the first time the country has published a single comprehensive document on policy, which is not a decision-making document, it is a debate-inducing document. So it addresses all aspects of the policy, including bad words like mandates and regulations, right? So these are not very favorite topics for people. But so the government has a job on policy front. Now, where are we lacking here in the policy, right? First one is everything seems to be extremely short-sighted, right? I don't see too many people talking about in government talking about this is my roadmap up to 2040. I may be wrong, but I'm drawing up my first roadmap so that the rest of the ecosystem can start preparing. The OEMs are asking for it. Now I'll give you an example of how it works for the OEMs. They say, no, you're talking about ethanol, LNG, CNG, this, that, you're not giving me clarity. So the government comes and says, okay, I will fund electric vehicles, but I will not fund hybrids, and that's my policy. Then you say, no, you're not being inclusive, etc. So do you want a fixed roadmap or not? So there is no right or wrong in these things. That's the point. So the policy needs to be analyzed and debated, not with stakeholders, but with experts, people who know the stuff, who understand and who have no stake in the game. All that they are there for is because there is an interest in getting the right decision out of government. So the long-term nature of the policy is really not reflecting often enough. People talk about, I will have 30, I will drive you to make electric cars, etc., etc. Policy does not happen if something does not happen in Parliament. So till such time, it's speech, just like what I'm giving right now. Speech is not policy. Speech is desire. It is intent. What you need is actually government actions, the notifications, etc. Right? So this is one part. The other one is, of course, a lot of the policy also is perception driven. So when a policy is declared, very often we are not seeing the recognition, listen, this is an evolving thing, it's new. I need to reassess my policy 3 years down the line, and I'm recording that. You don't see that openness in the approach, right? So these are the big daddies in the policy side. We need to get this done, both at a national and state level. The next one, of course, we need pilots like this. I would call a 1 month period a trial. I won't call it a pilot. I would call it a trial. A pilot is, at least for people like us from automotive, unless I see it for 3 weather cycles, which means 3 years, and I see a quantity which is statistically valid, say 30 to 50 vehicles of one single type, I do not call that a pilot. I call that a trial. And if I run 2 vehicles, I call it a proof of concept. And if I run 1 vehicle for 1 week, I call it a prototype. That's it. There's no other word for these things. So if you really want pilot, the intent of a pilot is to bring out statistically valid data. And that comes over a period of 3 years. So we need to work on such projects. Another one is what this event does, that is the outreach and awareness building. It's a very important part. People need to get over their perceptions. All of you have seen the WhatsApp University two-wheeler burning up, etc. I haven't seen the statistics on the percentage of vehicles which burnt. Have you? But we have this scare. And did you know that fossil fuel fire goes much further during an explosion as compared to an electric fire? So these are all things which are perception driven, and our WhatsApp University is not really helping. It's actually pushing things against the e-mobility front. But one thing we have to concede, as a country, we have a track record of being extremely indifferent to safety. So when the vehicle goes out to the market and it is being maintained, we need to develop products. I come from Ashok Leyland, so I can tell you, our marketing guys will not ever concede a point saying, no, he did not maintain it properly. The point is, that's the customer, and you don't get to choose your customer. And the customer is always right, and he's king. So if he doesn't maintain properly, you develop a product which addresses that deficiency. So there, NMC batteries, in spite of all the hype from Europe, I don't see it really holding on together much. And India needs even more thermally stable batteries than even LFP. So I don't know where we are headed. And then the technology part, there was an e-mobility R&D roadmap released by the Principal Scientific Advisor's Office, I think a couple of months ago. But this doesn't talk about today and now. That's the Department of Science and Technology. What it talks about is, are you perpetually going to keep catching up with the rest of the world, or are you going to launch a few activities which are clean slate, blue sky research? Now, these are what the industry calls esoteric ideas. Industry doesn't fund such things. These are funded by public capital, public funding. So the e-mobility R&D roadmap has taken a few. I'm sure it's covered less than half of what is actually required, but it's a start. right? So technology is one. You've got others, infrastructure, finance, you'll be hearing enough about that anyway. But one important part is safety. Electric vehicles, 300 volt, anything above 60 volts DC is deemed dangerous. So even cars go at 300 volts these days, and trucks are a scary 800 volts. We need the public to understand that, forget the WhatsApp University fires, you need to be worried about that 800 volt DC current inside that truck or bus. And that's what is more dangerous, not the actual fire, right? So we need safety awareness, and I'm happy to say that IIT Madras is working on all the 7 areas: policy, pilots, safety, skilling. You need a comprehensive approach, without which we will find ourselves left behind. And last is startups. They're a curse and they're a boon, right? So startups have shown us that certain things which big companies could never have achieved. It's been proven and they're taken off. But startups also tend to collapse. So that's the risk which we have to put up with if you want the benefits, right? So there are quite a few startups which have come into the system, and then one fine day, they just disappear. Now, this has to be built into the economic model and the ecosystem roadmap that we have. Definitely possible. And as I said, there's no right or wrong in these things. We do not know enough to be so sure. What's important is we debate, and we debate transparently, and we research objectively. Thank you very much.
Very small question, that when we say that there is a confusion between comparative technologies, a lot of people who are in potential position to take and adopt electric mobility right now, to an extent they are dreaming about hydrogen. So can we put in clarity of thought on that electric is going to rule for next 20-30 years, depending on the availability of our supply chain management in India, and then parallelly we can definitely bring hydrogen, but this confusion can be killed by policy. Is there any way possible from Government of India or anywhere?
I think we are choosing to see this as a confusion, right? If someone says, I'm going to sell 50,000 hydrogen trucks next year, then it's confusion, because there's no basis for it. Everyone's talking about green hydrogen being important. And for a country of our economy size, the hydrogen mission is a very small project. Now, if you do not keep your options open on possibilities, you will lose and you will end up catching up later. So if, no, we are a poor country, our resources are to be managed. We are not a poor country anymore. And the scale that you're talking about is so pathetically low that today's hydrogen, tomorrow if somebody comes with ammonia as a fuel, we need to book our profits there. It's like going and setting up a station in Antarctica, going and having a landing on the moon. You need to book your space. You need to be there. If it clicks, you don't want to miss. But hydrogen is definitely further off. There are cost challenges there. There are infrastructure challenges there. So what do you have on hand today? Electric vehicles. So at IIT Madras, we have a policy or approach. Work on electric, but keep studying hydrogen as well. So don't let it go, and don't see these two as conflicts. See these two as supplementing at a subsequent stage. Same thing with LNG and your hybrids, etc. I don't think you need to close options. You need to be, as I said, a little objective in your research.